I don't have a problem with the WNBA players asking for a raise. The WNBA is on a hot streak. I don't care about the previous 24, 25 years. As an investment, it's starting to pay off. And so this week they wore T-shirts saying, making a statement, you better pay us. But instead of just leaving it at that, Kelsey Plum for LA had to take a dig at Caitlyn Clark.
In the midst of a season that's been nothing short of transformative for the WNBA, there's a showdown brewing one that could shape the league's future for years to come. The WNBA is on the rise, bringing in unprecedented attention and financial growth, but at what cost? This week, the players made a bold statement, donning T-shirts that boldly read, "You better pay us." However, things took a dramatic turn when Kelsey Plum, playing for the LA team, decided to throw shade at none other than Caitlyn Clark, the player whose meteoric rise has changed the game entirely. Enter Colin Cowherd, who didn't hold back in calling out the growing tension in the WNBA, and trust me, what he revealed about the underlying jealousy in the league is enough to shock you. Caitlyn Clark has become the driving force behind the WNBA's resurgence, transforming it from a struggling league to a profitable one. So why would Kelsey Plum, a player benefiting from this revolution, decide to take a shot at the very player who made it all possible? What exactly did Cowherd say that's making waves? And how did he compare Caitlyn Clark's rise to none other than Michael Jordan's? Stick around, because the truth might surprise you, and if you're backing Caitlyn Clark, drop a Golden Gooses in the comments.
The t-shirt, just United front, was determined this morning that we had a meeting for, and not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
The tension started to build as Kelsey Plum, who's had her fair share of success, felt the need to make a dig at Clark. Now, this wasn't just a casual jab, it was a calculated move that sent ripples throughout the league. While Caitlyn Clark is busy transforming the WNBA into a powerhouse, some players, including Plum, seem more focused on maintaining their status rather than acknowledging the one person responsible for this unprecedented success. And honestly, Colin Cowherd was quick to call it out, revealing the jealousy that's bubbling just beneath the surface of the league. Cowherd didn't hold back, and he made it clear that Caitlyn Clark is the real reason the WNBA is finally seeing the success it deserves. For years, players were scraping by, flying budget airlines where they had to pay for water, playing in empty arenas, and struggling to stay afloat. But all that changed the moment Clark stepped onto the scene. Overnight, merchandise sales skyrocketed by 500%, and attendance at games surged by 40%. Cities that were once barely filling half of their arenas are now selling out, and teams that were financial disasters have suddenly turned profitable. The Indiana Fever, once at the brink of collapse, now has a waiting list for season tickets. And yet, some players still have the nerve to complain.
But why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlyn Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlighter. Now you're flying private. Okay, if you're in a band and you're staying at the Motel 6 and you add a band member and now you're at the Ritz-Carlton, keep your issues to yourself. All right? You went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a Four Seasons in the shopping district. Stop talking.
It's hard to ignore the reality of what Caitlyn Clark has done for the WNBA. Players who once flew on budget airlines are now flying private jets, staying in luxury hotels, and earning salaries they could only dream of just 2 seasons ago. The financial health of the league has drastically improved, and it's all thanks to one player. Yet, despite all of this, some veterans continue to complain. And let's be clear, these players like Kelsey Plum are reaping the rewards of Clark's success. But instead of showing appreciation, they're taking aim at the person who made it all possible. Cowherd couldn't help but call out the hypocrisy. He pointed out that Caitlyn Clark had already made millions from endorsements this year alone, with $11 million in her bank account, while the others were still fighting for a slice of the pie. Clark's success has transformed the league, and these players should be thankful. Cowherd made it clear, when you're in a band and things go from Motel 6 to the Four Seasons, don't complain about the band member who made it happen. Clark isn't just a player, she's a game changer, and it's time for the WNBA to recognize that.
I don't mind the t-shirts. I think you have leverage. I think you deserve more than 9%. But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls, like fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow. Right? She got you an upgrade to a better hotel as a band member.
What's truly frustrating is that despite all the tangible success Caitlyn Clark has brought to the WNBA, some players are still stuck in the old mindset. These same players, who once had to scrape by, are now living in luxury, but instead of being grateful, they're criticizing the very person who made it possible. It's as if they can't fathom how much things have changed. These are the same players who were flying on budget airlines, struggling to fill seats in half-empty arenas, and now they're complaining about a league that's finally thriving. It's almost as if they don't realize that their success is directly tied to Clark's rise. And Cowherd is tired of it. He put it perfectly when he compared the league's transformation to going from a Motel 6 to the Four Seasons. The metaphor couldn't be more accurate. Caitlyn Clark didn't just change the WNBA. She gave it the kind of visibility and respect it's never had before. But instead of embracing this newfound success, some veteran players are making it harder for themselves by fighting against it. It's time for the league to grow up and accept the reality. Caitlyn Clark is the future of the WNBA, and it's about time the players recognize that.
I think they deserve a big raise, maybe not 50% of revenues, because NBA stars, there's a lot of them, and they move the needle. The WNBA stars, well, there's one that moves the needle. And here's the other thing to remember. Caitlyn Clark's already rich. She made $11 million this year alone in endorsements off the court. So regardless of how these negotiations go, she's set. Nobody else is, right? So when somebody joins the band and everything gets upgraded, just be happy.
The real kicker, though, came when the WNBA All-Star voting results were revealed. Caitlyn Clark, the player responsible for turning the league around, was ranked a shocking 9th by her fellow players in the All-Star voting. 9th, behind one of her own teammates, no less. It was a slap in the face to the person who's been the driving force behind the WNBA's success. The fans had ranked her first among guards, but the players who directly benefit from her impact decided to place her far lower. This isn't just a case of poor voting, it's a clear example of pettiness and resentment. Cowherd saw it for what it was, a blatant disregard for the player who single-handedly revitalized the league. The situation was so glaringly unjust that it felt more personal than professional. In sports history, we've seen other young stars like LeBron James and Tiger Woods come onto the scene and get the respect they deserve from their peers, even if it meant they were overshadowing veterans. But in Caitlyn Clark's case, it's different. Instead of respecting her dominance, some veteran players are choosing to resist and fight against it, which, in Cowherd's eyes, is both petty and short-sighted.
I know you wanted your song to be the first one they played. You wanted to make up the set. But it's not the t-shirts. You're going to do fine. I'd scale back on the Caitlyn Clark angst.
What's even more frustrating is how these veteran players, who directly benefit from Caitlyn Clark's rise, have yet to fully acknowledge her impact. Players like Aja Wilson and Kelsey Plum have seen their own profiles grow thanks to the league's newfound popularity, yet instead of showing respect for Clark, they continue to harbor this unwarranted resentment. They're benefiting from packed arenas, increased salaries, and mainstream media attention, all of which are directly tied to Clark's success. Yet, when it came time to vote for the All-Star game, they ranked her low, showing no appreciation for the player who helped them get to where they are today. Cowherd's frustration is palpable. He can't understand why, after years of struggling, the WNBA is finally flourishing, and some players are still fighting it. He likens this to a company that suddenly becomes a marketing powerhouse due to one individual, only for other employees to resent them for their success. It's a lack of professional maturity, and it's holding the league back from reaching its full potential. The truth is clear. Caitlyn Clark is the WNBA's Golden Goose, and the league needs to embrace her success rather than fight it. This situation also highlights a larger issue within the WNBA, a fundamental misunderstanding of how to handle a generational talent. The All-Star voting fiasco wasn't just about a snub. It's a reflection of how some players still aren't fully grasping the magnitude of what Caitlyn Clark has done for the league. Cowherd pointed out that this is a typical reaction when a new star enters the league. Veterans often feel overshadowed or threatened by the spotlight that's suddenly on the newcomer. It's something we've seen in every sport, from Michael Jordan's early years to LeBron James's rise. The difference now is that the WNBA has a star who has completely changed the trajectory of the league in a way that's never been done before. The issue isn't that the veteran players aren't recognizing Clark's talent, it's that they're not accepting the fact that her rise is exactly what the league needed. Instead of fighting it, they should be embracing it. Clark's presence has made the WNBA a must-watch league, bringing in new fans, sponsors, and media attention. It's a golden opportunity, and some players are still too focused on their personal grievances to see the bigger picture. Cowherd's point is simple. The WNBA can either ride this wave and capitalize on the momentum Clark has created, or it can resist and risk being left behind. What's at stake here isn't just one player's success, it's the entire future of the WNBA. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a flash in the pan. She's a once-in-a-generation talent who has proven she can change the game. Cowherd made a compelling comparison to Michael Jordan, and it's clear why. Just like Jordan transformed the NBA into a global powerhouse, Clark is doing the same for the WNBA. But it's not just about her individual talent, it's about how she's brought the spotlight to an entire league that had struggled for decades. When Clark plays, the ratings soar. When she steps onto the court, the crowds come in droves. The sponsorships and media deals are flooding in because everyone knows that Clark is the key to unlocking the WNBA's commercial potential. And yet, despite all the progress, there are still players in the league who don't understand the magnitude of what's happening. They're too caught up in their own egos, too unwilling to admit that the WNBA is on the verge of a breakthrough. They're resisting change, and in doing so, they're holding the league back. The WNBA needs to embrace this new era. It needs to capitalize on the momentum that Caitlyn Clark has created, and it needs to do so quickly, before the window closes. There's no doubt about it, Clark is the future of women's basketball. The question is, will the rest of the league get on board, or will they be left behind? The stark reality is that Caitlyn Clark has already transformed the WNBA's financial landscape, but the question remains, will the league's veterans adapt or resist? The future of the WNBA hinges on how it handles this transformation. As Cowherd pointed out, the league is at a crucial crossroads. If the veteran players refuse to embrace Clark and the wave of success she's ushered in, they risk being left in the dust. Clark isn't just a player, she's a symbol of what the league could become. Her influence has already brought in fans, sponsors, and media attention, all of which were previously out of reach for the WNBA. What's troubling, though, is the resistance from some of the players who have directly benefited from her success. Their refusal to recognize Clark's impact is more than just a personal issue. It's a sign that the league isn't yet ready to fully embrace the future. If the WNBA is going to break through to mainstream success, it can't afford to hold on to old grudges or outdated mindsets. This is a new era, and the league needs to get on board with that, fast. The players who understand this, like Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, and Aaliyah Boston, are already positioning themselves for long-term success. They see Clark's rise as an opportunity, not a threat. It's the players who resist this change that will ultimately hold themselves back. As the WNBA stands on the precipice of something massive, the league faces a stark choice: evolve or stagnate. Caitlyn Clark has opened the door to a new era of women's basketball, and the question is whether the league can seize this moment. Cowherd's prediction is clear: if the WNBA fully embraces Clark and the transformation she's bringing, 2025 could be the year the league finally breaks through to mainstream sports consciousness. Picture this: sold-out arenas becoming the norm, sponsorship deals that actually move the needle financially, and young girls sporting WNBA jerseys to school because they're inspired by their heroes playing professional basketball. It's a future that's within reach, but only if the league can unite around Clark's success. However, the clock is ticking. This isn't just about Caitlyn Clark anymore, it's about the entire league's future. Cowherd made it clear. The WNBA's financial growth, its television ratings, its sponsorship deals, they all depend on Clark's continued success. The momentum is there, but the league must embrace it. If the veterans continue to resist, they may find themselves left behind as the younger players, the ones who understand the value of Clark's presence, rise to the top. The next decade of the WNBA will be defined by how the league responds to this generational talent. Will they embrace the wave, or will they get swept away by it? The stakes have never been higher for the WNBA. Caitlyn Clark has already proven she's more than just a star. She's the future of the league. Her influence on and off the court is undeniable. But the question remains, will the league capitalize on this once-in-a-generation talent, or will it sabotage its own future? Cowherd's message couldn't be more clear. Stop fighting against Clark's success and start embracing it. She's the key to the league's future, and if the veterans don't see that, they're only holding themselves back. It's time for the WNBA to stop looking backward and start looking forward. The financial success, the increased visibility, and the growing fan base are all here because of Caitlyn Clark. She's brought in the television ratings, the sponsorships, and the fans. The WNBA can't afford to miss this opportunity. Whether players like it or not, Clark is the Golden Goose, and the league's future depends on supporting her and riding the wave of success she's brought with her. The question is simple. Will the WNBA embrace its newfound success, or will it let petty rivalries and outdated mindsets hold it back? If you believe in Caitlyn Clark and the future of women's basketball, drop a Golden Goose in the comments, like, and subscribe to keep up with the latest updates. This is only the beginning, and the WNBA's brightest days are yet to come.